So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, villains. Whoa, what am I doing over there? Hello, villains. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And first preseason game out of the way. Nice, enjoyable game against Walsall. Aston Villa 3, Walsall 0. It is what it is, kind of a preseason game, but an enjoyable little run out, I think. Nonetheless, lots of players that we wanted to take a look at. We got to have a look at tonight and got to have a look at them for 45 minutes. So it was really interesting first day out, I think, for a lot of those players. And obviously the first half was there was a setup, and an 11 went out in the field. And I'm going to be honest, I thought the first half was pretty snooze festy at times. But there was obviously 2 goals from Morgan Rogers, so it seems a bit silly to kind of say that. But there were 2 goals from Morgan Rogers. Both of them were horrendous defending, and he's going to take those all day long. Specifically, I suppose, Ross Barkley's quick free kick, setting up Morgan Rogers for his first goal, and then the second one was Ross Barkley's poor corner into the box. Kind of comes to Morgan Rogers. I can't remember who got the touch to it, but it drops to Morgan Rogers and he just pokes it home. And two very, very poorly defended goals, but enjoyable nonetheless, that first half. And then I thought the second half, to be honest with you, I kind of had my eye in the second half as well. Much more, I suppose, for those signings that we had. And I think the second half, for me, while it wasn't exhilarating from a scoring point of view, I kind of was probably a bit biased in my mind that I wanted to look at Enzo Barnechea and I wanted to look at Kostas Jelkovic more than anybody else on the field, and we got to have a good look at them, and they looked really, really good to me, albeit that we were playing obviously against the opposition that we were playing. But Paddy is here, so let's talk to Paddy. Paddy,
good evening.
What you make of it? First day out, 3-0 win, minutes in the legs, passes in the legs, and some new faces for us to think we're going to win the league with this year, Paddy. Or sorry, understand that we're going to win the league with.
I'm having a little bit of an issue with my microphone, so I'm just going to take myself off there, and I'll be back in a second.
Grand job. Yeah, I'll fill time like only I can. But yeah, let me position myself back in the screen. But yeah, I think in the second half, then I was having a chat with Mark Wood, and he couldn't believe that Joe Gauci was 6'4", and I think it was some sort of trick of the mind and trick of the eye with regards to the green jersey that he was on, because every single piece of literature that we can find says that Joe Gauci is 6'4", but he looked a bit slighter there tonight. But I thought the 2 centre halves were 2 big men, and I would have I was impressed as impressed as you could be, I suppose, with Phil Finkel's, what he did today. Somebody coming back from an ACL. Will he be a Premier League footballer? Unlikely, but very, very assured. Some fantastic hair, and I was really interested in seeing what he could do, and he didn't disappoint tonight. He had a pretty good outing. Kostas Jelkovic on the right hand side, should I say, I thought was excellent. Thought he was really, really good. He was as tall as I expected him to be. He was as rangy. He was as fast. He was as dependable as I expected him to be, albeit up against League 2 opposition. But really, really like to look at Kostas Jelkovic. Paddy's back. Really, really like to look at Kostas Jelkovic there. So I'll get on to the rest of who I thought was good as well in a moment. But Paddy, the Poundland didn't disappoint, I think, tonight from a goals point of view, and it was good minutes in the legs.
Yeah, very good minutes in the legs. It's great to see 2 separate teams as well in the first and second half. So
Paddy's having a false start again. I'll remove him again there just while I was chatting. So then we get into midfield, and I thought midfield was very interesting in that second half. Actually, we'll talk about midfield in the first half firstly. I can see Paddy moving around in the background there. I'll just wait and make sure that all his stuff is set up correctly. Midfield in the first half, I thought was fine. I don't think there was much pressure on them. I thought there was some sloppy passes in the first half, all right. But Ross Barkley looked the pick of players in midfield. I thought Jamoa Foba looked good. Or Jamoa Loba on the left hand side looked good. I thought Ken Kessler Hayden got into it for at times on the right hand side, but yeah, as I say, in the first half, it kind of was what it was. Morgan Rogers was the standout player, I think, in the first half. Paddy, you're back. Can I see you? Are you moving? Are you still frozen?
Seems like you're the only one that can't hear me.
I think you're still frozen. So, yeah, in the first half, yeah, as I say, Ross Barkley, and you guys could hear Paddy there perfectly? Oh, could you hear him? Paddy sounded fine? I can't hear him at all. Coming through on my side. No, it's completely blank on my side. I've got over a megabyte of internet speed, so I don't know how everybody else can hear him, and I can't. Let me see. Must be something on my end. Maybe I need to jump off. You guys can hear me at all? No? Paddy's fine? Just me. I shouldn't be having issues because everything else is working tickety-boo on my end. So I don't know what the issue is there. I'm going to jump off. Paddy, you're on your own. Good luck.
I'm on my own. Good to see you all, guys. I'm glad you can hear me. Hopefully Neil will when he comes back in there. Everybody's here saying we can hear us loud and clear, so it's just some glitch between myself and Neil. But yeah, it was a good run out tonight. I enjoyed it. Great to see a lot of hunger on the pitch. From a Villa point of view, it was great to see the new guys coming in and giving it a good rattle. I really enjoyed it. The first half especially. Morgan Rogers, Enzo Barnechea, Illing Jr. I suppose the only one that didn't the game pass by was Leander Dendoncker, who we didn't see much of. But Neil has just gone off screen there. Hopefully we get him back in there. A lot of people saying Barnechea looked incredible. I think we can say that this guy is going to have a shot in him like we're used to with Douglas Luiz. Hopefully that's Neil back in if it works. Is he coming? Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Got you loud and clear there. I couldn't see you, couldn't hear you. I could see you in the backroom stage, and I could see me moved over to the side, and I couldn't even see you on the stage at all whenever you were dropping yourself in. So, yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but it was just gremlins. Anyway,
everyone's giving out. I got new glasses, Neil, and look, I can whatever bloody coating they put on them, I can just see everything through it.
Well, I got new glasses as well, Paddy, and whatever coating they're putting them on the inside of them tastes absolutely lovely.
Good to hear it. I'd say it tastes absolutely divine.
That's one for the people on YouTube. Yeah. I'm just sculling a few points here. Sorry, Paddy, I was rudely probably cutting you off there during that period of time. What were you saying?
I was just mentioning a few players, and I finished on Enzo Barnechea, who looked like we haven't lost the ability to take a thunder bastard of a shot either. So that lad is going to pop up a la Douglas Luiz and be hitting shots from long distance, I would imagine. But there was plenty of positives. There was plenty, even with the young players, looked really, really hungry in that second half. And I think specifically Morgan Rogers, who just looks absolutely on fire. He's just a step ahead of everybody on the pitch. I know we're playing League 2 opposition, but that movement for the first goal, quick thinking from Barkley to give him the nod off. He goes in behind it and scores the goal. Second one a little bit fortuitous, a bit of a pinball before it actually drops to him, but he was in the right place at the right time. Yeah, brilliant. The only thing the second half I thought lacked was goal mouth action more than anything else. But we weren't looking at any new strikers or anything like that. We were looking at the likes of Illing Jr., Barnechea, Nedeljkovic, or what did Mark Regan
Louis
call
Barry.
him? What did Mark Regan call him? Nedeljkovic.
Nedeljkovic. I think it is actually Nedeljkovic, because I remember when I was doing his scouting series thing after he was signed, I typed it into a Serbian pronouncer thing online, and Nedeljkovic came up. But do you think I don't think I ever said that as his name, because I'm trying my best to be culturally appropriate, try and get all the names pronounced correctly as they should be correctly pronounced. But I failed miserably on that stuff. But at least I try. At least I thought Louis Barry looked good, Paddy, today. I thought he looked good. I thought he looked lively.
Well, you did cut me off. I was going to say Louis Barry did look well, and it's amazing what being linked with Birmingham City can do for a young man. I'm jesting, obviously, but he looked very lively in there, as did Caden Young. Both putting their hands up to be thought about either in a loan move or to stay around the team. I think it's a case of Louis Barry's time to shit or get off the pot, basically. He either stays around this time or we probably will sell him. That's the way I can see it. I don't know whether he has done enough to keep himself around the squad, but it'll be an interesting couple of weeks for him for sure.
Yeah, and we'll get back to Louis Barry, I suppose, in a moment, because I think probably a loan move to a championship team is probably what he's looking at this year. I know that Birmingham were looking to sign him permanently, and have also been looking to loan him. And yeah, we'll see what the crack is there with that one. I don't know whether he wants to have the triumvirate on his CV. It would be very 1980s to have the triumvirate of West Brom, Villa. There's only Craig Gardner, I think, that has that in recent times. Maybe there's Liam Ridgewell. There's a quiz question. How many people in recent times have the triumvirate there on their CV? But going back to Barnechea, I think I suppose a lot of the and hey, it's League Two opposition here, so we're not putting the cart before the horse here. But I think a lot of people were even today when we were talking about a couple of things online, a lot of people are still smarting from the Douglas Luiz loss. Not saying it because he's now left the club. I think I actually said it at the time, and I think I might have even said it on an old Villa View podcast before. But Douglas Luiz is a fantastic player. But yeah, Ron Saunders has the three. But Douglas Luiz is a fantastic player. But I thought that you could replace him by committee in this team. I'm WhatsApps. I've probably about 40 WhatsApps in 40 different groups where I've said that over the course of this off season. Whether Enzo Barnechea and Ross Barkley can come in and replace him on day one is yet to be seen against a better opposition. But I think that's what we're looking for. And I think that's what Unai Emery's thought process is here with regards to that. Both of them I thought played really well today. Both of them were probably the two most creative forces that we had. And that to me is more promising, I think, than anything else, is the fact that, you bring those two players in, neither of them looked out of place against League Two opposition. I will always preface it with regards to that. And, essentially it was a kick around the park, I think, for both teams today, except for when your man nearly killed Caden Young, putting him into the cameras towards the end, Evan Weir. But, I think the two guys, I think they were probably our two most assured players, and that's good. That's good because we've lost a very assured player to Juventus. Do you think, Paddy, there was anybody that you were kind of going tonight that you were kind of going, wanted to see a bit more from them?
Well, I mentioned there, I think you were off the screen, that Leander Dendoncker was the only one that I thought the game passed him by completely, and I don't even remember him touching the ball as such. But I think everybody put their hands up, and even down to Joe Gauchi coming and taking an incredible catch from across as well. Like, it was a very Emi Martinez esque catch from that ball. I know there was very little danger, but still it was one for the cameras. I absolutely fine with I thought the first half was excellent. It was just almost pedestrian at times, and this game always is. The first one always is. The focus is to get minutes under the belt and to get these players through the 45 minutes without any injuries, and then recovery tomorrow and back into good hard running before they go playing again at the weekend. So, the preseason is not what it used to be, in that there would have been 3 or 4 weeks running before we'd ever get on the pitch again. These players are consummate professionals now. You see them on your favorite portal of Instagram training on their holidays. That's that's part and parcel of how it is. They train 365 days a year. If they're not playing, that's the way it is. It has to be that way because you can't come back carrying any timber at this level of the game. It's just not possible.
And that's right. That's because, and I think it's the clues in the name, professional footballer. The clue is in the name. You got to keep yourself fit. And to be honest with you, the season is almost like if you take 3 weeks out of the season, that's the only time players have off anymore. So like, look, I know I will challenge anybody that I can get more unfit than them in 3 weeks. But like, how unfit can you really get in 3 weeks if you're doing your own bit the whole time? So yeah, it's not like American sports, especially the NFL, where you see fellas come back and they're like 3 or 4 stone overweight because they've partied for 6 months. The guys get about 3 weeks partying, and a lot of that 3 weeks is like going, lads, I need to sleep, or I need to just be sitting in ice and sitting in hot water and ice water and hot water and ice water just because my legs are fit to fall off, because the season is bloody tough. The season is tough at the minute, and that's obviously for the international players.
And it's just getting longer and longer. It really is. Like you're looking at our players were back in training a week before Ezri Konsa, Ollie Watkins, and Emi Martinez played another 2 games in that week in semi-finals and finals, and John Duran obviously as well. So like the international season, they're going to have to seriously have a look at it, or we're going to get to the situation where the players and the unions are going to ask for a cull in fixtures, or we're going to get to a situation like the rugby where they're only allowed to play a certain amount of games, and we'll have games where we can't play certain players. Something will have to give here, and Paddy, it has to be international football.
Well, that's the elephant in the room. There is that's the only way I think they'll sneak in the Super League. Jesus, we're going way off piste in this one, but I think that's the only way they'll sneak it in. They'll sneak in the Super League because they'll get the players on board from that point of view and say, right, we'll have 24 teams in the league, but you'll only play 18 teams within that league. That's 36 games as opposed to 38 games. Gives you an extra 2 free weeks. Bob's rant after that, and they'll try and pick it up, pick something up that way. Anyway, but you're right that it's a long season, and players are, there's a lot taken for them. Yeah, there's a lot expected on them, should I say?
And when you're playing the bones of 50 games with Champions League this year, it's only going to get tougher, and there'll be matches in January, Champions League, 2 Champions League games in January. So it's not going to get any easier for us for sure. So we're going to need a lot of bodies around. So I don't envy the job that Unai Emery and his team have to do to keep these players fit, hungry, and ready when they're called upon, because it's a bloody tough game. Like when you think the season used to finish in the middle of May, it's now gone to the end of May, and you'd see them coming back training about now to start the end of August. It's now starting mid-August. So it's crazy stuff. There's too many international breaks. Something will eventually break here, and we'll find ourselves, because we saw it last year with the extra injury time being played in games. There's players going down injured left, right, and centre. There's players missing 2 and 3 games through injury, and it's something we'll have to give. Otherwise, we're just going to lose our best talent to injury because we've just been overloaded.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, absolutely. A couple of people asking about Ramsey, Mings, or Buendia. In the team sheet tantrum I mentioned there, wasn't expecting to see them tonight. I think there's a softly approach there. Get them on the train to the US. Maybe if we see them in the second game in the US, that's another week away. Specifically Mings, I think, more so than Buendia and Ramsey from that point of view. Because Mings,
I think Mings is taking a little bit longer than the other two. I think Ramsey is generally ready. He's just not been risked in match situations. Buendia is nearly ready, and similar situation. They probably want a couple of weeks of preseason training under his belt before they put him out there. But I don't envisage we see Mings at the start of the season. That's just my opinion. just by the level of training we've seen him doing compared to Emi Buendia. It's just taking that little bit longer, and I'm absolutely fine with that. So we just have to be patient, and we've got plenty of options there, so we're good.
Yeah. Dobbin wasn't on so a couple of people were asking about this in the comments about Lewis Dobbin. I spoke specifically about him in the team sheet tantrum. That I think of all the players that weren't there, he's the only one that had me surprised that he wasn't there. Because for a lot of reasons, because we've heard little to nothing about him, since he's came in. We've seen only very bare pieces of him on social media and stuff like that. It could be a case where he's playing with the kids, still. He's not, I know he's got a Premier League goal to his name and stuff like that, but maybe he's nursing an injury. But I did find it strange that he wasn't there at all today, or wasn't named in the 22 today that were there, Lewis Dobbin, because I want to take a look at him. Just like I want to take a look at absolutely everybody else that played today. I want to take a look at Lewis Dobbin. Like he has a Premier League goal to his name, and he's 13 Premier League appearances to his name. So, interested to see what the story is there, because a lot of people think, oh, he's definitely just going to go out on loan. Maybe he's not. He's an under 21 player. Maybe we keep him around, but I think that for me is literally the only question out of today's performance is, where was Lewis Dobbin? Everybody else is kind of accounted for based on either their status within the squad, their status within international football, or their injury status. So Lewis Dobbin is the real kind of elephant in the room, I think, for me.
Well, for me, there was two, because Moussa Diaby was missing too when he hadn't played international football. So either...
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
It appears that way. But the Lewis Dobbin could be a situation where he has come back and picked up a knock and just wasn't involved. And that's fair enough. So I'm not reading too much into that until they tell us otherwise. But I would expect him to be part of the squad. I don't expect to see him to go out. I could be wrong with that, but I just don't expect to see him to go out anywhere.
Yeah, I see huge reaction here. Says we signed Dobbin to have Everton with PSR, nothing else. I think that's... I don't understand. I think that's false. Number one, because we gave him a 5-year contract. If we did that, we'd only give him a 1-year contract, and we'd literally loan him out and just piss that down the drain. It's not as if Lewis Dobbin is shite. Lewis Dobbin is a good footballer. As I say, he's 13 Premier League appearances and he's a goal in the Premier League. I think it was opportunistic, absolutely, and I agree with what you say. But and he may be loaned out, but I think there was a long game with him, and he may never make it. But I think they value him a lot more than Twitter maintains we value him, if that makes sense, because he's not an unknown entity. That's just all I have to go on, is the fact that he's not an unknown entity from that point of view. I think for sure. Dobbin was collecting Nico Williams from the airport. You heard it here first. Scott Taggart, breaking news on this podcast. Lewis Dobbin was given the night off to collect Nico Williams from the airport. You heard it here first. I was going to say, Paddy, we haven't heard any of your views on some of the things that have happened recently, like Amadou Onana, literally out of nowhere. We were tentatively linked with him. Never really thought there was anything much in it. And then all of a sudden it was like, Villa are advanced. Villa have agreed a fee. He's probably going to sign at the weekend. Talk to me a small bit about Onana, because we've had conversations about him on WhatsApp. And what's your view on him?
Well, he didn't play every game for Everton either, even when he was fit. That's the only thing that leads me to believe he's not the finished article. So 50 million. If you think of a man of that size, would be absolutely perfect to play every game for a man like Sean Dyche. So, look, I'd be absolutely happy to take him. Is 50 million his price? Probably not yet, but could definitely rise to that, and you're buying potential with that. But if you're asking me, would I have him in the squad? 100%. We seem to be building a squad of big units, and he would be an absolute enforcer in that midfield if he buys into the Unai Emery way of life. The one thing that stands out for me is he wins absolutely everything defensively from set pieces. So he would be a welcome
That's
addition
it.
from reacting reacting to our set piece problem over the last year. So he would be a fitting piece of that jigsaw. He's always kind of in and around the front post, clearing corners, and that area clearing. That's the one thing that stands out for me every time I see him play. So yeah, I'd absolutely have him in the squad. A little bit worried about the price tag, but if it happens, brilliant. And I think the fact that we are so strongly linked with him scared away Wilfred Ndidi, because he knew if we sign Onana, he's not getting anywhere near that squad.
It's funny, Paddy, because we can talk about it now, I suppose, because the cold light of day has happened, and like I alluded, it's just before the Ross Barkley. It couldn't have worked out better for people thinking that somehow I was in the know, and I absolutely wasn't. And I owned up to it, and I said, no, that wasn't the guy I was talking about. So the night before, I did a podcast. I'd say you were on it, Paddy, and I alluded to the fact that having good authority that there's a player that's really interested if Villa are going to press the button and signing him. And then the day afterwards, it broke that Ross Barkley was signing for Aston Villa, and I was like, that's not. I was talking about a midfielder. I was like, well, that's not him. That's not the guy we were talking about. My DMs literally lit up like a Christmas tree. Was that who we were talking about? Was that who we were talking? I was like, nope, wasn't him. No, and I was honest. I said, no, that wasn't him. And it was Wilfred Ndidi, because it's funny when Paddy, because we both got that name from two completely different sources. We both got that name of Wilfred Ndidi, and then the longer it went on, essentially, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen here? And I think maybe it was a case whereby he might have been backup plan A, backup plan B, or something along those lines, and he's after signing for Leicester, re-signing for Leicester again, so
yeah.
But yeah, well, so that's the player.
He was holding all the cards, in fairness, and he took as long as he possibly could before committing to what he wanted to do, and he was well within his to go and stay where you're appreciated and loved, and take whatever lump sum Leicester were giving him for re-signing. It's just the same as going somewhere else. But the reality is he will start every game for Leicester, and will probably be back up to whoever. It's especially with Onana, he's definitely going to be back up. So that's a choice you got to make as a footballer, and I appreciate a lot of footballers doing that. Especially at this stage of his career, he needs to be playing football. So it's we had heard that he was coming in, as you say. There was a couple of different sources that was coming from. One particular agent in particular was definitely putting it out there that this was done and dusted. But yeah, it was funny that they signed Ross Barkley the next day. But we did allude to it later on, and we did say that it was a Nigerian player. But
I think you mentioned that in another podcast. Yeah, for sure. And then I think everybody thought that we were talking about Iheanacho, who's still on the market and may possibly end up at Aston Villa, but I've not heard. I've heard absolutely nash about Kelechi Iheanacho arriving at Aston Villa.
There has been plenty of links about it, but we do need to get some players out before anything else happens, I would imagine, at this stage. So I'm sure before we go to America, we'll see a decent picture of what this is going to be like. So, fingers crossed, they get the finger out and move some players around and see where we're at. And that could be slowing down the Onana deal. I've absolutely no idea where they are.
No, Onana is just still on holidays, Percy said today. So John Percy at the back post again. He said Onana's just on holidays, coming in to do a medical at the week closer to the weekend. We should be announced at the weekend. Everything is fine. He's just still on his Belgian break, essentially. That's what it seems like. But I think, I suppose, from that point of view, Paddy, yes, 100%. So I put out a tweet today, and I was talking about, we've 31 senior players. Of those 31 senior players, Iling Jr., Kostin Jalkovic, and Lewis Dobbin are under 21 qualified. So that brings us down to 28 players. So there is a call of 3 players that needs to happen there. We would imagine Diaby would be one, Duran would be another, one of the left backs will be another. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at there's 3, potentially Olsen, potentially Dendonker, potentially Cameron Archer. So, you're looking at potentially another 3. I still think there's a lot of trading to be done here. I do. I listened to Claret and Blue, and not having a swipe or anything here. I just have a different opinion, I suppose. And maybe I'm stupid here because John Townley's in the middle of press conferences and everything like that, and I'm sure he knows way more than I do. But I just think that we will definitely replace any attacking players that go out from here on in. I think midfield we're okay in at the minute. Defense we could do with another centre half. Probably could do with another centre half. Dependent, I suppose, if we were to get rid of one, if not two of the left backs, I would maybe. I think Mario Hermoso is making up his mind between Aston Villa and Napoli at the moment. I think that's where he is, and let him take time to make up his mind. There's no problem there. But the longer that goes on, the more I think Aston Villa are involved, and it's a case of trying to get one of our left backs out. We get one of our left backs out, then he comes in and supplements that, and then that still leaves us with 11 defenders, 14 midfielders, including the wide players, and then I think he'll want to go into this season with 3 attackers. At the moment, we've got Ollie Watkins, Duran, and Cameron Archer. But I think if 2 of those go out, don't be surprised to see a young striker come in. And I think under 21 players being bought might be something we see, just to kind of supplement the squad. But anyway, I went off on a tangent there. But you're right, Paddy. Outgoings will happen, is what I'm saying. And we have plenty of people that I think are saleable assets still, within the club. So it's going to be interesting to see what the story is. Definitely interesting.
And it's just an interesting game now because we're back to nearly. I think there's 5 players still on breaks, 6 players. Count John McGinn. He should be back in next week, I would imagine. So, with Tielemans, the 3 guys that I mentioned that played the finals at the weekend, and John McGinn, what's that, 5? So, we're very top heavy there when you look at that squad because there's a lot of guys, specifically the ones you mentioned, the Louis Barrys, the Cameron Archers. Where do they fit into this? So that leads me to believe that the 2 of them could go out. I definitely think Hermoso is sitting in the wings waiting to see if maybe Diego Carlos goes out. I do believe it'll be Alex Moreno of the fullbacks that will leave. Just reading between the lines of what people are saying, and and I think there's another elephant in the room that we need to ship a goalkeeper. But we won't go too much into that.
Oh, that's not an elephant. He came for a cross. He came for a cross tonight, and he looked like an elephant when he came for it. The other fella came, and he looked like a gazelle.
The guy is an international goalkeeper. He has a brilliant career behind him. I don't want to go deep on him, but we can't go into the season having him as number 2, and that's just my opinion. And I don't want to be constantly going on about him. And I think that's a worry, given it feels like we lost Emi Martinez for a lot of games. I know it wasn't a huge amount of games, maybe 6 I think he played, but I don't think we can afford that now. So that's the big one for me. Everything else seems to be either set, ready to go, but that one there's no talk about at all.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't, because remember, Unai came out at the start of last season and more or less said, I know you're all expecting me to sign another goalkeeper. It ain't happening, and maybe what's changed between now and then. But then we have been linked with goalkeepers. We were linked with that guy from Famalicão in Portugal as well. And so look, I suppose I'm willing to let that one rumble on. I don't really care about our second goalkeeper. I genuinely don't care about our second goalkeeper until the transfer window finishes. I care about a support striker and a number 10. But play Onana and goals. Yeah, play the Dunker and goals. Big, strong boy. Play him in goals. It'd be fantastic. I care about a second striker, and I care about a number 10 more. And you mentioned a great thing there, Paddy, as well, about Louis Barry and Cameron Archer maybe going out. I think they have to, because they no longer, and Cameron Archer didn't last year either, and I think that's why he was sold. They no longer fit under the under 21 banner, so they take up a 25 squad space. And that, I think, is a killer for Louis Barry. I think it's a killer for him because, as we've said, that we're probably putting him under too much of a spotlight. Maybe we're expecting too much from him. But last year was a missed year for him because of the injury when it happened. I think he has a full year at Stockport. I said Chesterfield at the start in the pre-match piece, but it was Stockport. I think he has a full season at Stockport. He gets well into double digits, and I think Villa are looking at him in a different light. But he had a really bad injury, and he didn't need that then. I thought he looked good today. I thought he looked fine today. Maybe a good loan Championship does him well. Maybe Archer needs to be. I don't know. I don't want to be selling players or anything like that on podcasts or anything like that. We're just trying to figure out what the future of the 25 is. But I think any avenue is open for Archer. Stay, go, loan. I think there's any avenue open for him. But I think Louis Barry is a definite loan candidate without a shadow of a doubt.
I wonder would a year at Vittoria Guimaraes do one of them very, very well.
I think it would. It wouldn't. Louis Barry looks like a fellow who could go out abroad, and I think Cameron Archer's needs to stay in English football. I think for myself, if he goes out there, he might score 20 goals and never come home, and that could be fine as well, But Cameron Archer is so interesting because I have no idea what to expect. A lot of people thought that the announcement from the club was cold. I just think the announcement from the club was expected. Because I think they expected him to come back because they saw the writing was on the wall that Sheffield United were relegated with almost 10 games to go. The club weren't surprised he was coming back. So I think that's what that announcement was. A lot of people were like, oh, it's very cold. It was like, we announced that we've taken him back as part of the deal. I think the club have just had him as part of the squad since fucking February of last year. I think that's just really kind of that was what I got from it. It was a case of, oh yeah, business as usual. He's back. Of course, he's back because Sheffield United were shocking last year. But he's so interesting to see what's going to happen with him and where he goes. Really want to see him done well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me too. But I'd like to see him do well. That's first and foremost when a player comes through. And the same with, Louis Barry really hurts me that he didn't get to the level that we hoped when we saw him scoring that absolute mayhem scenes in everybody's living room as opposed to a full stadium. But that goal against Liverpool will go down in history. And him being a Villa fan and him getting back from Barcelona to play with us was just a fairy tale thing. It's just unfortunate, as you say, that injury last year didn't help him push on and really show his worth. But absolutely adored at Stockport. I have a lot of friends at that club, and they absolutely adore him there. And they would give their left arm to get him back up there. And who knows, that might be where he'll go, and we might hang on to him for another year just to see what he does.
Yeah, I think we're probably looking at I think for where he is, he needs to show he's capable of playing the Championship for me, or Vittoria Guimaraes. He needs to be playing in a top 6, top 7 league in Europe. I think just to prove to himself that he can do it. He's fulfilling a lot of promise here, and that's where I'd like to see him go. I wouldn't like to see him go to a League 2, League 1 club. I wouldn't. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him. Like to see him at a higher standard, to be honest, because he will like as I say, we know he can play at that level, and he will end up at that level. He's not going to flame out of professional football. He will have a career into his 30s in professional football if he wants it himself. But will he have the Championship career, or will he have the Premier League career? And I think he needs to know that for himself at the moment. I'm very deep into the psychological thoughts of Louis Barry here now, but I do think that Alex, great fucking call. Great call. I could see him at Hull. I could see him at Plymouth. I could see we have serious goodwill with Championship teams at the moment. Middlesbrough, Hull, Plymouth. I don't think Middlesbrough are going to be in for him, but there's a lot of goodwill there from those clubs, and interesting to see where he'll go. Paddy, I asked you a question there a moment ago, and I asked you, did you think anyone played poorly tonight, or anybody didn't tear up the trees you expected them to? And I can't remember if you answered me or not.
But the only one I said was Leander Dundonker. I thought the game passed the boy. That didn't mean that he played particularly bad or anything. There was a couple of wayward passes that you would expect at this time of year. But other than that, there's nothing major to report. I think the Dendonker piece was just he just seemed to be playing very far forward, and the ball wasn't going into that area. It's just a very strange position to see him in.
You know what? It actually kind of got me excited in a way, because I was going, maybe the crazy bastard Emery is going to play Onana up there. Maybe he's that fucking crazy. He's going to play him up there, and every team is going to go, oh no, we've got a basketball player playing up top here with behind Ollie Watkins. Maybe it's going to happen. Who knows? Who knows? But he was very high. He was high pressing there for a good part of that second half, for sure. And someone else who I thought, don't get me wrong, no, right? Do not get me wrong. I was expecting Samuel Ayling Jr. to play completely differently to how he played. Not saying he played poorly, but played differently to how he played. I thought he felt his way into the game, and I was really surprised to see that. And then he was playing a bit more essentially, and I thought he got into the game. And as I said on Twitter, a band of wild horses would have had to pull me away from the ball to stop me from shooting when that ball came through, where his first touch was poor enough, but I still would have taken the shot. There's no way in the world I wouldn't be taking a shot there. But he laid the ball across to Louis Barry, and Louis Barry scored. So fair play to him from that. He played differently than I was expecting to see, and I was a bit surprised by that, albeit intrigued more so than surprised, I suppose. But a huge man.
We did see him. We did see Luca Dean overlap him as well at one stage, and him pull back into the left back position. So he literally played we saw him in a multitude of positions in that second half, including playing through the middle beside Dendonker, which was a bit strange. But look, it's going to take time to settle down. We saw some mad games last pre-season, if you remember the Brentford and Newcastle games out in America, where just mad wide open games. So I hope we see a few more of them where we can get some crazy minutes under our belt before we settle down.
Absolutely. And Paddy, we didn't forget to mention it, but I see Ronan's in the comments there, and he keeps nudging us to remind us what Chris Heck dropped a little Heck bomb in the. Can we start calling them that, Heck bombs, in the middle of the game, and said 23rd. I pontificated, and I thought it might be the 22nd. I just said it was a Monday, but the 23rd looks like is when the new kit is going to be released. Prior to going into the US, I would expect pop-ups, shops all over the United States with Aston Villa gear for when we go over there. But yeah, so start saving the pennies and saving the pounds between now and the 23rd, because that's when the kit's coming out. Paddy, what did you make of the white kit today? Actually, I won't say anything. But what did you make of it, Paddy?
I'm not even going to give much of an opinion. It was just as generic as you would expect of what they were going to do. And look, it's obvious that this wasn't ready. We made that decision very late, that we were dropping Castor based on what happened with the home kit last. We know that these things take a year to come true, so we've got to the stage now where we can where we know it's coming in. We know we have Adidas. I would imagine that our last game of this season, we're going to see the new kit like every other Adidas team does. But for this time round, we're just going to have to suck it up. While it is frustrating and it is annoying that people want to go on holidays, and it's a missed opportunity from the club, in my opinion, to get that Adidas gear out there and into the markets before people start going on holidays, because like the football season's only around the corner and people are coming home from their holidays now because they want to go to Dortmund and USA and WALSALL. So it's just a missed opportunity.
Isn't that where you should be wearing the jersey? WALSALL, Dortmund, USA.
That's what I'm saying. You should have it by now.
Yeah,
you know, that's it, and it's not. I don't think it's any fault of the of the club as such, but Castor obviously made a balls of that home kit, and now we're just seeing the delay because of that. So we know it's next Tuesday. I thought it was a bit strange that he announced it and not the club, but there you go. That's the modern way, I suppose. But yeah, so we'll have it Tuesday. We'll get a good look at it, and no doubt me and you will be back to to talk about it before when it goes on sale.
Absolutely, yeah. I presume it's going to go on sale on Tuesday. Like,
Yeah.
you can't keep them keep us waiting any longer. But yeah.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
just
So
say
look, my view.
say hello to Marky in there, because Marky is putting some lovely comments in there. And
Yeah.
strange for a Newcastle fan to come in and be pleasant. So nice
Yeah.
to have you in, Mark, and I hope you're enjoying the chat.
Yeah. Everyone welcome. It's an open space for everybody. As long as everybody is courteous, we've no problem with any other team being in here. And do you know what? It's funny because every so often you'll see a Barcelona fan recently pop into my podcast as well when I've been doing some of the scouting series. So yeah, everybody's on board, and thanks a million for joining. With the kit, just for those of you who didn't hear me say it in the pre-match piece, about 3 or 4 days ago, we got wind that it was going to be a one-off white kit. With the foundation on it, and got wind that it would be templated kit. It would be literally straight off the rack and printed on the front of it, and printed on and the crest printed on it. And the reason being, I can only imagine. That's all I got, but I can't imagine. It makes sense to me because you go with a black and white kit, and you go with something that just doesn't give anything away from the actual design of the real kit. Because and a lot of people were posting on Twitter, you can buy the t-shirt, you can buy the kit they had on today for $17.50. Do I implore everybody go away and buy it. Find one of the brilliant people online that will print stuff on your shirt for you, and get them to print the Aston Villa Foundation on it, and then go to your local school uniform shop and get the crest embroidered on it, and you have yourself a one-of-a-kind shirt. And that's not me being facetious, but if you know, that's going to be a collector's item. Not many other people will have it. It's not going to go on sale, but you can make your own. Craft your way into notoriety with regards to this. That's what I would say to people. But I don't care about I do care because I want the shirt. But I fully understand why they're going with black and white, nothing to do with the club, and let the shirt reveal be the shirt reveal. Although, as myself and yourself, we were talking, Paddy, pretty much looks like we know what the goalkeeper shirt is going to be after tonight, don't we?
Well, it's exactly the same kid as Emi Martinez wore in the Copa America. So he's going to come home to the same kid that he wore for Argentina. So, and look, that's probably, we're going to see a template from someone else as well for the home kit. It's probably just the way it'll have to be because we came late to the market. But hopefully they can pull something out of the bag with the especially the away kits and the tour kits, just to do something a little bit different. And I hope we're not going to see that bumblebee or glow in the dark that we had already, that we're seeing with the training kit, because it's been done to death at this stage, and I just want to see something different and unique. And I love that green training top that they're wearing, and I just think it'd be magic to bring another green Villa short back, because we haven't had one in a long time.
Paddy doesn't like highlighter colours. That's what I've learned over my 5 years of Paddy. The highlighter colours he's not a big fan. They've been done to death, and he's probably right. You know, in fairness, he's probably right. We're going to end that on Paddy being right. We're going to end the podcast on Paddy being right, as we normally do. And I want to say thanks a million to everybody. 48 minutes out of a preseason game is good going on anyone's books. I'll tell you one thing, that is solid podcasting to get 48 and a half minutes out of a preseason game whereby we used 22 players, and I couldn't name anyone on the Walsall team other than Uncle Albert. There was a couple of people from the same family. They were there trialist, but apart from that, it was a great run out for the guys. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining.
And
really
thanks
appreciate
to the
it.
over 1,000 people who came in here and came on tonight. And I think it's a sign that we're all missing our Villa fix. So if you are in here for the first time, do hit the like and subscribe button and give us a thumbs up on tonight. And we'll see you again for the match at the weekend. Although I can be here for the team sheet tantrum, but I can't be here for the post match.
That's okay.
I'm off to celebrate my father turning 80 on Saturday. So I will. I'll miss the game, but I'll be here for the team sheet tantrum.
That's the job. Have to do that too. Yeah, and there's 680 people, Paddy. Speaking of 80s, and happy 80th birthday to your father as well. There's 680 people watching us on Twitter. If you guys have any time later on and you want to just go on YouTube and you want to just click on the thumbs up if you don't follow us on YouTube, that really helps us out. And then for the 350 people watching on YouTube, if you want to go onto Twitter and then go in there and click on follow on Twitter, or X as it's now called, that really helps us out too. So share the love. And as you cross each other in like ships in the night, say hello to each other, because everybody that follows us is sound and everybody who doesn't follow us is waiting to be found and waiting to be sound as well. So do that. That'd be really nice and it would really help us out. So thanks a million, everybody. Go and leave it at that. I got to get to bed. It's been a long day for me, but thanks a million for your time today. And Aston Villa are off to a winning start in pre-season. So until the next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.